Good morning and welcome to our 208th weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way this call works is this is an AMA, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, investing questions, anything you want to. And my goal here is to humbly help you reach your full potential or get the best returns in your portfolio. And so this call lasts 2 hours. If you're in the Silver MBA program, you can also join us today at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Every week at 10 a.m., I do a Zoom call for my Silver students only, and you can get access to that in the first lecture of the Silver program. So give me 1 second. I forgot to turn on one light here. So I got it over Bluetooth. Hold on a second. There we go. A little bit more, a little bit better. Okay, great. Excellent. All right, now, right before I begin, there's one thing I want to talk about really quickly. Last week, a student of mine asked me a question about carbon credits, and I couldn't answer the question. And so I did a little bit of research. This will take just 20 seconds or so. Carbon credits are credits to offset pollution. And the way it works is most governments in the world will give carbon credits to the largest companies in their countries. And it's all based on the amount of pollution that they produce. And so if a company receives these carbon credits from the government, think of it as a virtual piece of paper with coupons on it. If they receive this piece of paper from the government called a carbon credit, and they produce less pollution than expected, they can take a little coupon off of that or part of that and sell it back to the markets. And it's the way of global companies to reduce their carbon footprint. Now, you can also buy carbon credits as well. So that you have a zero carbon footprint. And Microsoft, Google, and the largest tech companies buy a lot of these things so that they're not polluting at all. And there's also a couple of markets you can trade these things on as well. They're secondary markets. One is in New York and one is in Singapore. And I'll show this to you really, really quickly. Okay. So there's two websites you can go to. One of them in the United States is called expansive.com. Okay, and this is a company where you can buy and sell carbon credits. You can also do it through aircarbon.co, which is based in Singapore, and it looks like a trading blotter as well. Now, it's not as simple as just buying one type of stock or carbon credit. There are a gazillion of these things based on what province or state or jurisdiction or country you live in, because different governments will issue different types of carbon credits, and you can buy and sell them on these two exchanges. Okay, let me get to your questions now. Thank you. All right, let me kick it off here with, hold on a second. All right, having some technology issues here, guys. Hold on a second. Here we go, I figured it out. Okay, great. All right, so Manas from India wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Chris, please. Hope all is well. What a week it's been, and a lot has happened, and I have a lot to ask you as always. So how are you doing now? A lot has happened this week. Let's talk about it. I'm always great, thanks. Yeah. Your first question is, FTX went down, and Binance liquidated its token on their exchange, and FTX went bankrupt. Almost went bankrupt, yeah. Sam Bankman-Fried, the billionaire, lost all his fortune overnight. Have you heard about that? Yeah. So basically what's happening is Binance, which is the largest cryptocurrency exchange company in the world, was about to acquire FTX. So FTX is a company that's had a lot of problems in the past. They've got two separate units, a U.S. unit and an international unit to trade cryptocurrencies. And Binance was going to buy the international division. But whenever you buy a company, legally, you're allowed to look at all the finances, the books and everything. And after Binance took a look at those books, they thought, oh my God, they're hiding more losses than we had thought. And they backed away and they're not buying it. It's a sign of the times. A lot of cryptocurrencies are getting absolutely destroyed as interest rates go up a lot. Speculative assets don't do as well. It's been 6 months since I heard anybody mention the word or term NFT. And there's good reason for that. When interest rates go up, crappy assets go down. And I still believe that most cryptocurrencies are a scam. I own 4. I've disclosed which ones for many years now. But please do your research first before buying these instruments because they're not regulated. Imagine buying stocks without government regulation. Like everybody would get scammed. There has to be some sort of loose regulation, and I think it's coming, and I think it's going to be a good thing for investors as well. To learn more about cryptocurrencies and how to analyze any type of investment class, you can always go to the website you see below and take one of my courses or sign up for my MBA degree program. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee on all of my courses. Okay. And then the entire crypto market went down again, and now cryptos globally are worth $800 billion, which is a lot less than it was before. Is it because of Russia-Ukraine war or recession in general? Yeah, it's largely because interest rates are up, right? And so anytime interest rates go up materially around the world, investors are incentivized to just keep their money in the bank or buy bonds because it's a low-risk asset. So in the United States, you can buy bonds risk-free, and get a 6.8% return from the U.S. government. And like, why would you buy stocks or really, really speculative cryptocurrencies if you can get a risk-free return like that? Now, if you go back to the early 1980s, when inflation was worse than it is today, inflation and interest rates back then actually reached 20%. And so as a result of interest rates being 20% in the early 80s, hardly any companies were born. Nobody invested in speculative asset classes at all. So it's just business is cyclical. There's economic cycles. Right now, the Federal Reserve, and the bank of every other country is hawkish as opposed to being dovish, which means that they're raising rates. And when rates go up, all speculative assets go down a lot, which means now is the time to start rolling up your sleeves and doing research on these companies or cryptocurrencies that you feel comfortable buying, but you got to own it for the long term. And when you analyze any stock, cryptocurrency, investment, whatever it might be, you always have to look at these three criteria in this order. Number one, fundamentals. Number two, valuation. And a distant third, technical analysis. So now is the time to start rolling up your sleeves and doing investment research. In my MBA degree program, I provide you with all the tools in your toolbox or arrows in your quiver so you can analyze any investment class. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Hui. Hey, Hui, how are you? Hui wrote, hi, Chris. Amazon has lost a record $1 trillion in value. What do you think of Amazon as a company? Yeah, it's incredible how Apple has executed and other tech companies have not, to the extent that Apple's market cap today is more than Amazon, Google, and Facebook combined. It's unbelievable. But what's happened with Amazon is a couple of things. The most important one is the CEO, founder, Jeff Bezos, is no longer really with the firm. Right? He stepped aside and put Andy Jassy, who created Amazon Web Services, in place. And I've always said this since the day I started teaching, which is whenever a founder or all the founders leave a company or are no longer engaged, investors need to run for the exits. And I don't feel differently here. Now, in hindsight, it was a smart idea to appoint Andy Jassy as the CEO of Amazon because he created their cloud division, meaning Amazon Web Services. Yeah. And also, a lot of people are worried about consumer spending because of the global recession. And so Amazon obviously is going to get hit pretty hard because of that. Yeah. All right. Next up, I've got Pride. Hey, Pride. Pride wrote, does this make sense, Chris? Hi, it's been a long time. I missed you more. Hope you're doing well. You wrote, workers ask why CEOs say the company is broke when it's buying company cars. The reply is, I bought these assets to avoid taxes. I rather put my money in assets to pay than pay the government. Yeah, that does make some sense, as long as you're not irresponsible with it. So when I have a good year in my business, what I do is at the end of the year, I know I'm going to pay a lot of taxes. And so what I do, if it's a particularly good year, is I buy a lot of computers and equipment. And I do that so that I pay less in taxes. Now, the best way to think about it is if you start your own company, everything you buy will cost you half as much. And I'll explain that in a second. And if you make $100,000 working for somebody else, but you work for yourself and you make $100,000, you're really making $150,000 to $200,000. And the reason is because you can write off a lot of things. So if I have to pay $1,000 in taxes this year, okay, I have to pay $1,000 in taxes. And I buy computer equipment that costs me $1,000. Then roughly half of that, this is very rough, I can write off, so I'm only paying $500 in taxes. So I don't get the computers or cars or equipment for free. but I kind of get it at a discount. And if that doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll give you a more detailed example. Thanks. But owning your own business is incredible because you can write off a lot of things. Now, for those of you that own your own business, and even those of you that don't, I always want you to get an accountant to do your taxes because the tax code changes all the time, and you can save a ton of money as well because every new administration, government administration, has new tax-based write-offs. And accountants know about this. And it's a full-time job keeping up with this. If you guys own your own business as well, I recommend getting the same accountant to do your personal taxes and your business taxes just to keep you out of water. Last thing I'll say on this is if you own your own business, I recommend having 2 credit cards. One is personal, one is business. If you're not sure where to put it and you think it's business, you put it on this card. And then at the end of the year, your accountant will correct everything and bless it before you file your taxes. All right, next up, I've got Kevin, who's also my MBA program, who wrote, "Good morning from Lakeland, Florida." Great to see you. Great to see you. Be interesting to see if DeSantis is going to run for president, who's a senator there in Florida. Looks like Trump is not really talking to him. Now we know why. He's probably going to run for president. Okay. Next up, the Vanquisher wrote, "How do I buy silver?" So I always recommend buying commodities using ETFs, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. So what you do is you go to Yahoo Finance, okay, finance.yahoo.com. And my biggest long position in 2008 when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working was gold. Okay, so GLD, I'll get to silver in a second. So if you want to buy gold, I recommend buying it here. Okay, this is an iShare, okay, from a very respectable company that issues this ticker here. And you'll pay 0.4% per year in fees, which is not that bad. Okay, that means for every $100 you buy of gold, you'll pay 40 cents per year in fees. And it's not that bad because you know this is real gold. Okay, so to buy silver, you just do SLV right here. Okay, and this here is an iShares Silver Trust. Now, because it's not as liquid, doesn't trade as much as GLD gold, the fees are a little bit higher. So for every $100 you put into silver here, you'll pay 50 cents per year in fees, which is not that bad. And you know it's real silver as well. What some people do, please don't do this, but I'm going to disclose what some people do. This is wrong, but some people will buy gold from certain markets in certain cities using cash. Then they'll put that gold in a safety deposit box or hide under their mattress, whatever. And then when it goes up, they sell it back and collect cash, of course, and they don't pay taxes. Yeah, just be careful of that. All right. Pulasti wrote, "Hey, Chris, how are you? I'm always great, thanks, and I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you." All right. Web3 Gaming wrote, "You the man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you." And by the way, I downloaded God of War, the new game, on November 9th, and I started playing it. It is amazing. It's a masterpiece if you guys haven't played it. Don't play that game, though, for tips on how to raise your boys or your children. It doesn't work. Yeah. The guy's kind of a jerk to his son. But he's getting better. But it's a great game. It's got 10 out of 10 on all major platforms, IGN, etc., that give ratings. I love it. So Web3 Gaming wrote, "This is Peyton." Oh, great. Peyton Kalohea. Great to see you. Peyton graduated from my Platinum program last year. He used to work in surface warfare in the United States Navy. Now he works at a great video game company. He's a good guy. I've interviewed him on my webcast in the past as well. You wrote, "Hope you got your YouTube handles entered. I ended up securing at Web3 Gaming SEO for days." Awesome. And I did that as well. I think I did C Haroun or Chris Haroun for my YouTube handle. And for those of you not familiar with what that means, similar to on LinkedIn, where you can have your own customized LinkedIn address for free, you can also do that on YouTube, right? So on LinkedIn, if you go to linkedin.com/in/charoun, that's my handle. And I've got something commensurate with that on YouTube as well. Great to see you. Next up, we got Peter Paul Bacon, who wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Good morning to you as well. Always good to see you." And then we have The Man, who wrote, "Just wondering if you have any connections in England. I'm from London. And if you ever visit for business reasons or any other." Yeah, I do have a lot of friends in England, especially in the finance industry. A lot of friends of mine at Goldman are still there and in the hedge fund industry as well. And thank you. And yeah, I'd love to meet there one day as well for coffee. But, and this is going to show my true colors, okay? If we go out for coffee and the bill arrives I'm going to do exactly this. I have alligator hands. I can't find my wallet. And T-Rex can't do pushes either. Okay. Sorry. I went 16 minutes without dad humor. Okay? It was awful. Thank you. All right. Next up, Manas from India wrote, will recession go on forever if Russian-Ukraine war never ends or it lasts for decades? No, it won't. It won't, because what happens is as economies see economic contraction, the year-over-year comparisons get easy. And so you see growth because the year before was awful. For example, in Q2 of 2020, the United Kingdom had GDP of negative 20%, meaning revenue for the country was negative 20%. And that was the biggest year-over-year decline for the United Kingdom ever, even more so when the Germans were bombing London in the 1940s. And then a year after that, it looked like there was growth, just because there were easy comps year over year. Yeah. So this war, I think, is going to go on for decades. It is the Cold War Part 2. This morning, the United States government, it looks like the Wall Street Journal leaked a report that the U.S. government, the Biden administration, is not going to be selling drones to Ukraine. And I think we have to support Ukraine, but we got to be careful because, drones can attack Russia directly. And we certainly don't want to start World War III, but we want to keep supporting Ukraine for sure. Yeah. Meaning giving them billions of dollars every month, which makes sense. And if you don't do that and Russia gets too much power, then the price of oil goes up even more in the long run, which hurts us more, which is why it makes sense to give billions of dollars every month to Ukraine. If you don't, the economic impact globally would be way worse than a few $billion. In fact, by early 2023, according to economists, the economic impact of the war in Ukraine is going to reach $2 trillion. And I think it's going to reach $10 trillion within a decade unless governments step up and start to help Ukraine much more so and put more economic sanctions on Russia. The reality is, though, Russia is financing this war with higher oil prices, not the ruble. Yeah, it's disgusting. Okay, next up, I've got JM who wrote, why do we always hear about the importance of diversification when many of the top investors run very concentrated portfolios? Buffett has most of his investments in just 5 stocks. Yeah, Buffett is a little bit different when it comes to diversification. I think you need to have diversification. I think you need to have at least 20 stocks in your portfolio, and no stock should be more than 5% of your portfolio. I also believe that every portfolio should not have more than 20% in any one sector, like technology, industrials, commodities, whatever it might be. Warren Buffett is so long-term focused, though he gets a hall pass from the market because he is long-term focused. And a lot of people don't like him. I love him. But a lot of investors are kind of jealous that he gets this hall pass of being long-term focused. And a lot of investors say, yeah, I could buy anything I wanted to, and longer term I can make money just like Buffett. That's not true. It's not true. When he buys stocks, he is unemotional. And when he buys stocks, he assumes the stock markets can be closed for 10 years. That's what he tells himself. Yeah. But he certainly owns many stocks, and you can find it online. It's publicly disclosed. If you're in my my MBA degree program, what you can do is you can go to the page where you watch the replays of the lectures. Okay. And up here, just do a search for Buffett. I always forget, 1 T or 2 T's. And what we do is we analyze Warren Buffett's portfolio in a lot of detail. Okay, we download it and we analyze it together. And so if you signed up for my Silver MBA, you can click here to go to any lectures where I mention Warren Buffett and talk about his portfolio and how he invests. Okay, let me get to the next question. Okay, moving on to Owen. Who wrote here, hey, Chris, I'm in commercial real estate as an analyst en route to be a broker / investment salesperson. What tips do you have for acquiring new clients and building a personal brand? It all comes down to networking. In my MBA degree program, I kick it off. I start off in the first semester by talking about how to network on steroids. Your network is your net worth, and relationships are more important than product knowledge. And so what I recommend you do is I recommend that you network and meet tons of people in the industry with a similar background to you. I think I recognize your name. I think you went to San Francisco State. So what I would do is I'd reach out to people that also went to SF State, that work in the real estate sector, commercial real estate. Maybe they work at CBRE, et cetera, and ask them for informational meetings, for example. Now, the best way to do this is to leverage LinkedIn. If you don't want to buy my MBA degree program, to learn more about how to network, you can always go to my website, harounmba.com. And then you scroll down to the very bottom and you can download this book called Networking to Get Customers, a Job, or Anything You Want. It's 200 pages, with 3 hours of YouTube videos. You can get it for free. And if you have questions as you go through that material or through in my courses or MBA programs about networking, please let me know. Remember, your network is your net worth. All right. Next up, and in terms of establishing yourself and your personal brand, and I recommend everybody do this, whatever you're most passionate about, I want you to write a lot about it on LinkedIn. And I also want you to publish videos on it on TikTok, which I've been doing a lot of lately, as well as YouTube, Instagram, etc. And I want you to think of yourself as a thought leader. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to publish one article every single week. Okay, and then I did this for about 2 years. And then after you publish one article per week for 2 years on whatever you're most passionate about, then what you can do is take those 104 articles and put them into a book. And I did that as well. And you can download the template for this book in any book to create from scratch. Just go to harounmba.com/ all lowercase, write book. It's easy to do. And when you go to your interviews or informational meetings, you can give them this book. Right, your book. And if you think that's too much work, then you got to please, I say this with love of my heart, ask yourself, how badly do you want this job? The way to become a thought leader is to think like a thought leader and opine and give your opinion a lot. If you build it, they will come. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I promise you this will work out. I guarantee I put my reputation on the line. But you gotta stick with it longer term. You can't just give up after a couple of articles, because most people will. Your competition will for sure. Okay. All right. Next up, Abel wrote, hey, Chris, hope all is well. Likewise. If you're 21 years old today, ooh, that'd be great, and you're a finance major, what would be your top 10 questions for networking to get a better job in the finance industry? Yeah. So I would say that just personal bonding is more important than what you ask in these informational meetings. And so what I want you to do is before any of these meetings, I want you to go to the Twitter profile of the person you're meeting with and see who they follow. You know, if they follow athletes for certain sports teams, you know what to talk about. If they follow, actors, actresses, movies, whatever, you can talk about that. If they follow certain politicians, you know which topics not to talk about, that sort of thing. If they follow certain, icons in the financial services sector, like Warren Buffett, et cetera, you know they're a value investor, and you can talk about that in your meetings. Now, in those meetings, and I provide you with all the templates you need for every single industry, for every kind of interview in my MBA degree program. But I want you to bring one-page write-ups to give to them on the other side of your resume. And I explain that in much more detail. Okay, and you always want to give. You want to help other people. Give and you'll receive. It's prophetic, and it's been true since the beginning of time. Yeah. So give. In the first 10 minutes or so, bond. Please don't jump right into business ever. It's a big rookie mistake. And a lot of people that are in school, when you're younger, like I was, you think that, hey man, if I keep my head down, I get good grades and do a good job, life's going to work out great for me. Well, that's not the way it works in the real world. If you keep your head down in a big company, or if you don't network much, and you think you'll just get noticed, think again. And I say it with love in my heart, please. Because the people that get promoted the fastest and get the most jobs, they ask a lot. One of my students in my platinum program used to live in the ghetto, and he said to me, in the ghetto, we learned, Chris, that closed mouths don't get fed. You have to ask. When you work at a big company, if you do a great job and keep your head down, you'll wake up one day and you'll look around, you'll be frustrated because you'll think to yourself, it's not fair because all these other people that are doing the same work I'm doing that aren't getting the same results are getting promoted faster than I am. Why is that? Because behind closed doors, and you'll never know this, but behind closed doors, they ask for a promotion or they ask for a raise. Anybody that's made vice president or CEO of a company has asked a gazillion times. I think this is a little bit out of focus here. I'll switch back over to this camera angle here. You have to ask. Asking or receive, it's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. And if you want details on how to ask for a promotion and whatnot, just let me know and I'll humbly opine here. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Tesla is an all-time low. Not an all-time low. It's pretty low, though. It's down like 70% in the past year. Yeah. Elon is selling $4 billion worth of stock for Twitter. Tesla is big, but Elon's focus on Twitter hurting Tesla, or in general, is it getting in the way of things? Yeah. A lot of people are worried that Elon's taking his eye off the ball. But what we have to understand about Elon is he's more than being a founder of a company. He's better at turning companies around, right? He was not a founder of Tesla. A lot of people don't know that, but he turned it around. Yeah. And there's a couple other companies he's done the same thing for as well. He was also one of the co-founders of PayPal and obviously made that a massive success. So he's done it in many different industries, hardware, software, etc. I think he'll be able to turn Twitter around. I think that one day, if he does this right, Twitter can be $1 trillion market cap company. That's a lot to say, I know. But think about it. There's no competition, really. There's nobody else out there like Twitter. He's got to be careful, though, with how he does it because he doesn't want to show his hand in terms of is he a Republican or Democrat. He publicly disclosed a couple days ago that he's voted Democrat his whole life till recently, but he's more of a libertarian. He has to also be careful not to upset China. And you'll notice he never says anything negative about China because the biggest Tesla plant in the world is in Shanghai, and that's the most important market for him, etc. But there is concern he is going to take his eye off the ball on Tesla because he's spending too much time on Twitter. And so my hope, and the hope of many investors, is that eventually he gets a good CEO to take the reins for Twitter, and then he kind of steps away. But it's an amazing strategy for him to own the company because it's free marketing for him. Now, most companies like Coca-Cola and others, they spend 10% of their annual revenue on advertising. Okay, so Coca-Cola has $40 billion in revenue, and they spend $4 billion a year on advertising. Have you ever seen a Tesla commercial? Neither have I. So think about all the free publicity he's getting. Over 10 years, if Tesla were to advertise $4 billion a year, it's $40 billion, which is close to what he paid for Twitter. So he's getting free advertising. And I monitor Elon's Twitter feed pretty closely. Every day he gets an additional 500,000 people following him. He's now over 115 million. Watch it daily. It goes up by 500 grand every single day. It's free advertising for him. He's brilliant. And he's controversial. And the most controversial executives in the world tend to get free PR, which is free advertising, which means free money. Like I remember Sir Richard Branson, who's one of my heroes. When he tried to enter the cola market with Virgin Cola back in the early 1980s, he rented a tank and drove it through Times Square. Obviously, you can't do that today, but look at all the free PR he got then. The same thing with Mark Benioff. Back in 1999 when he left Oracle to found Salesforce.com, he talked for years about how software is dead and the cloud is the future. And he made friends with 50 of the top tech and finance journalists around the world to be controversial on their television shows, like Mad Money with Jim Cramer. And it was brilliant free advertising for him. And so you have to be controversial if you want to get free PR. And Elon is brilliant at this. Yeah. All right. And I believe that everybody should be allowed to voice their opinions on Twitter, unless they say hateful things, of course. Yeah. All right. Or they lie. Or they pretend to be Elon. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, why does Elon love Dogecoin? His tweet just puts the market upside down. Isn't it funny? Yeah. So it's more of a joke for him. He has a kind of a different sense of humor. I appreciate his sense of humor. If you watch him on Saturday Night Live, you'll get it. His humor is a little bit different, but he's funny. It was meant as a joke. I don't think he's going to be doing that much with Dogecoin anymore because if he manipulates markets, regulators are going to get upset with him, especially because he owns Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Solana, a blockchain platform like Ethereum, yeah, is going down because someone has liquidated $800 million worth of tokens. How do sharks have so much control over the market? I don't think it's really as much sharks. I think it's just one wealthy investor that didn't have good risk management or diversification that had to sell shares. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And even Elon had to sell shares, as we know, in Tesla to be able to buy, to buy Twitter. And Elon is very unemotional. I think we can learn a lot about Elon when it comes to investing in the stock market. So the best investors are unemotional. I've worked for lots of billionaires. I'm not going to say which ones, but they have borderline Asperger syndrome. Okay, some of them, and meaning that they don't get too emotional about things in business. And if you can turn it on and off at business, then you can be incredibly successful. You have to be a contrarian. And so I remember working for certain billionaires when I worked at hedge funds. When one of our companies got acquired, we'd all be high-fiving each other, happy on the trading floor. Let me get back in focus here. But they wouldn't really care. And they also wouldn't freak out when stocks went down. Now, Elon Musk, in March of 2020, when the market was at a low, he bought a ton of shares, this is publicly disclosed, in Tesla, right when the market was at the bottom. Then he sold all those shares he bought in late 2021, just a little bit ahead, 6 weeks ahead of the January high in the markets in 2022, right? So he's a contrarian, and a couple data points makes a trend. And the best investors are contrarians as well. If you buy the same stock that everybody loves, then there aren't that many incremental investors to push the stock higher because everybody owns it already. So you have to be a contrarian in business and think differently. And that's why I'm doubling down on my business right now, because nobody is crazy enough to do that at this point, because all streaming services are getting absolutely destroyed right now. I'm doubling down. Yeah. Just be a contrarian and watch your net worth take off. Now, when you do these webcasts, Ken, if you have a great Zoom presence, meaning good lighting and everything, clothes and all that stuff, it will do the same for you what a good Italian suit will do for your career. And so you got to make sure that you're not shiny as well. This is ridiculous, but anybody on camera, and I've done interviews on television and stuff, and commercials, they put this stuff on you. So the way you do it is you go to a drugstore and you ask somebody that works there, this is what I had to do, can you get me powder that matches the color of my face, right? This is called Stay Matte. And then you get a brush my wife bought me from Sapporo, and then you just put it on, which gets rid of the shininess. See here? Yeah. So, and then, it doesn't make you look like you're perspiring, that sort of thing. Teachable moment. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you and your family forever and ever and ever. See you next week and forever. And thank you for all those emojis. And God bless you and your family more. And thank you. Okay, next up, I've got Owen, who wrote here. Give me 1 second. Owen wrote, what metrics are most important for analyzing capital markets? San Francisco CRE means commercial real estate, is likely to experience a crisis due to defaults. How can we, in the industry, prepare? Yeah. So there are a lot of ways to invest in real estate through public vehicles, which are called REITs, real estate investment trusts. And the way it works is, I'm sure you know this, real estate investment trust by law, they have to pay out 90% of their profits in terms of dividends. And so if you see a REIT, which has a ticker, it looks like a stock, but if you see a REIT that has a dividend yield that's over 20%, don't get too excited. Just be careful. Because if any stock or investment class has a yield that high, there's usually a reason for it. It's because sophisticated investors think that dividend is not sustainable. So do your research to see what the debt covenants are and if they have enough cash on hand to pay back the debt, et cetera. Yeah. But real estate's tricky, man. It is incredibly cyclical. You can go from billionaire to worth negative $700 million in a nanosecond. That's exactly what happened to Donald Trump from the 1980s to early 90s when we had the commercial real estate crisis in New York. He was worth negative $700 million. So just be really, really careful as well. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not an expert in that area. But I read Art of the Deal when I was 15 in 1987 by Trump. Yeah. It was okay. Sort Okay, The Vanquisher wrote, I can't wait until that game comes out on PC, meaning God of War. Yeah, it's great. It's a masterpiece. Yeah. Christina, how are you? Christina and her husband, Christian, graduated from my MBA degree program last year. She's wonderful. She is the president of the Haroun Education Ventures MBA degree program alumni network. She is our fearless hero, as Peyton Kalahea called her. She wrote, good morning, Chris, and our amazing global webcast and MBA family. Good morning. Hope you're having an outstanding week so far. Cheers, Chris. I'm at 9 a.m. water and 400 steps. How about you? So right now I am at I'm at 9 as well. In terms of my steps, I am at just 200. So I've got a lot of work to do today. I call it my steps because my Spanish girlfriend, when she broke up with me, broke my heart when I was a kid. She said, Chris, I want some space. Yeah. Good to see you. Okay. And then the Berlin, who's in my MBA program from this year, he lives in San Bernardino, California. How are you? Wrote, good morning, Chris. What do you think about Coinbase? Will you be backing up the truck? Yeah, I am doing work right now on Coinbase. It's funny you say that. Coinbase was very smart because a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, what they did was after they went public, they raised over $1 billion in a convert debt instrument. And I remember Wall Street was like, WTF, why the face? In case my mom's watching. They were like, why would you do that? And it was the smartest thing in hindsight they could possibly do. So I think their capitalization is okay. I'm still doing work on it. To learn more about that deal and the IPO of Coinbase and their convert, just go to my YouTube channel and do a search on Coinbase. I did a very, very long segment on that one day. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Next up, hey, Andre, how are you? Okay, moving on to Chris. I have not to try to pull my crypto out because I'm in the long term, but my friends try to pull their crypto out from Coinbase. It does not let them sell their Luna. Ooh. And then you wrote, I'm thinking on transferring my crypto to my hardware wallets. And then question mark, would you just? Absolutely, yeah. You never don't ever leave that much money in hot wallets, okay? So the way to think about it is this. So a cold wallet is one that you put the cryptos in, you have it forever as long as you don't lose it and don't forget your password, okay? A hot wallet is a wallet on the internet. It's called a hot wallet because the internet requires power to be on. And companies can go bankrupt, right, where your money is stored. And it's not regulated, meaning there's no FDIC insurance from the US government or other governments to insure you. And so the best way to think about it is this. When you have a bank account, you've got a savings account and a checking account. You tend to leave more money in your savings account because the interest rate's a little bit higher. But the checking account is used just for money that you want to spend it, right? Write checks from your checking account to buy stuff. The same thing with hot wallets. Think of that as your checking account, okay? So you always have more money in your savings account. Yeah, I would have 99.9% of all your cryptos in cold storage wallets. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Next up, Kex wrote, hi, Chris. What first steps would you suggest to somebody wanting to get into the development side of crypto / blockchain / Web3, etc.? I have some coding experience, but from a long time.
From simplelearn.com. To this end, an aspiring
Alexa,
blockchain developer.
Alexa, stop. That was scary. Right. If I wasn't doing a live webcast, I would have been a little bit less polite. I'm just being honest, yeah. Okay, so your question is, how do I learn about all this crypto stuff from a tech perspective? Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, from a business perspective, you can take my MBA degree program or my crypto course, and you can learn more here at this website link here. From a tech perspective, I would go to Udemy, and I would take tech courses by a guy named Kirill, right? And so he's got a great course on how to create a blockchain. I would do that, yeah. And just learn basic programming as well, like Python, which I'm going to be teaching pretty soon just to my MBA degree students. And for those of you in my MBA degree program, for anyone that's bought or will buy, you're going to be getting access to all my programming stuff, which is coming out in January. I teach you how to program using a visual way with objects. Now, make sure, Kex, that you enjoy programming as well. Otherwise, you'll never reach your full potential in that industry, because a lot of people that do it, they see it as like it's a video game. They love it. So make sure you're passionate about it. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Tabangsa, welcome. First time I see you on the call. Hope you join us again. Hi, Chris. What's happening in crypto? FTX is zero worth. What's wrong? Yeah. It was just a company going bankrupt, right? It wasn't managed very well. And nobody's investing in cryptos now because interest rates are going up. And all speculative asset classes are getting demolished, including speculative stocks, NFTs, which nobody talks about anymore because they're speculative. It kind of feels like 2001 when people didn't want to buy internet stocks, right? Which is the time to roll up your sleeves and do the work. I think there are great opportunities out there. Yeah. All right. The Berlin wrote, Chris, inflation came in cool for September. Will the Fed take it easy on raising rates? Potentially, but one data point doesn't make a trend. We need to see multiple ones like this. And so what happened this morning is the Wall Street Journal released an article that that inflation was only 7%, which is less than the 9% people were expecting. One data point doesn't make a trend, but if we see a couple data points like this, then the Fed might take their foot off the pedal in terms of raising rates a bit and go from hawkish to dovish. Hawkish means they raise rates, like hawks are mean. Doves are nice. They cut rates. I don't know if that made sense, but you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. We have to see a couple of data points. Yeah. But I think what's more important than that is the monthly unemployment. So if we see the monthly unemployment result come out with a 4 handle and eventually a 5 handle and even higher, then I think the Fed will slowly stop raising rates. Yeah. Okay. And then George, thank you for joining my channel as well. Appreciate that. And I sell my courses, MBA degree programs and everything on YouTube now as well, just by joining my channel there. Okay. So Owen wrote, your thoughtfulness is so uplifting. Thank you. It amazes me that you remembered my name and that I graduated from SFSU. Thank you for your time. You are out here doing God's work. Thank you, Owen. God bless you. I appreciate that. I do love doing what I'm doing, and I want to thank all of you for showing up every week, because I don't have a job, I have a passion. And thank you. Moving on to Nirali wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm amazing, thanks. I've worked out now 14 days in a row. Like, I usually get my 20,000 steps in, but I've been going to the gym as well, and I feel great. I feel great. Yeah, thank you. And I do have depression. Like, I've opened up about this as well, which is one of the reasons why I walk 20,000 steps a day. The best way to treat depression is to exercise a lot and help other people. If you help other people, makes your depression go away. And for me, the way I also beat depression is I biohack a lot. I try to consume the right foods and all that stuff. But I do weights as well. I'm not a big guy, but weights releases endorphins. And there's not a single human being on this planet that has ever gone to the gym and after working out told themselves, damn, I wish I didn't work out today. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And I hope you're doing well. Yeah. And that Stanford sleep study I went to has helped me out tremendously in terms of improving my sleep, which I monitor very closely with my Oura ring here, because I'm a nerd and I like technology. Yeah. Okay. Next up, the Berlin wrote, Chris, I heard there's a 6-month lags after every rate hike to feel the effect, and that we are barely feeling the first rate hike. Yeah. I feel it pretty quickly. I think a lot of people do, because mortgage rates have gone up. They more than doubled this year. They're the highest they've been since 2008. So I think a lot of people feel it. But in terms of the 6-month thing people talk about, the stock market tends to discount what's going to happen in 6 months. Okay, so yesterday the stock markets were down because it looks like in the United States we have an election, we have the Congress and Senate, and a lot of people expected Republicans to run away with both, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that. Right now the Senate, we're tied 48. You need 51 to win. Looks like Democrats might win. And so because of that, the markets went down, because people are anticipating that, if Republicans take power, if they were to take more power, then that would mean it's better for the stock market, because Republicans in general prefer lower taxes. Yeah, it is. That's not a political statement. It is what it is. Yeah. Okay. And then, oh, wow. Waleed, thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. And you wrote here, Chris, I have a religious conflict with debt and interest. Yeah. I'm wondering if it's possible to earn high returns on 100% equity investments, no leverage. Yeah. Yes, if you buy options, but it depends on what you define as leverage, right? So options, you can buy call options, right, which means you invest a small amount, and if the stock goes up a lot you're investing in, you'll make a lot, but the most you can lose is this. Or you can buy puts, and a put, the way it works is Coca-Cola, ticker KO. Let's say you own this stock and you don't want to sell it for tax reasons or whatever reason. What you can do is you can buy a put, which is protection. It's like an insurance instrument, and the most you'll lose is the amount you spent on this, but it'll kind of neutralize how much you could lose on Coke. Coke goes down, this goes up, that sort of thing. It depends what you define as leverage. Yeah. Or what you can do is you can think like Andreessen Horowitz does, one of the best venture capital firms in the world, and you can invest in what are called 5x5s, and that's what I do. I love to invest in companies that I think could have a 500% return within 5 years, a 5x5. And of course, I'm more often wrong than right, but when I'm right, I do okay. And the way to do that is to write detailed investment reports, and I provide you with all the tools you need, state-of-the-art tools that people on Wall Street use, and hedge funds use, and professional investors use in my MBA degree program. You can check it out at the link below. Yeah. And thank you so much for that donation as well. God bless you. Okay, and now we'll go directly to Project Magoo. We just finished putting the roof up in Rwanda. It's one of the schools I'm building. The profits from what I do goes to build schools overseas. And next June, I'm going to be doing this webcast every week from Rwanda, from that school. And I'm going to be teaching in that school next June, next summer. Yeah. To all my students for free, of course. All right. Nirali wrote, how are you, Chris? I'm always great. Thanks. I hope you're doing well. Moving on to the Berlin, who wrote, I heard there's, whoops, looks like that one was written twice. Yeah. Or I read it twice, actually. Yeah. I had a senior moment there, guys. Okay. George wrote, downturns are an opportunity to buy. Patience pays off. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay. And then Diane said, excellent, and LOL regarding space. Yes, my Spanish girlfriend, she said, I want some space. She broke up with me. But when you get dumped when you're younger, it hurts a lot the first time, then after that it doesn't hurt as much. Yeah. Because I've been dumped a lot. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Eric wrote, what is your opinion on the foreign exchange market? Yeah. I don't recommend anybody trade currencies. You can't make money in it. And the reason I say that is because currencies go up and down in a short amount of time based on what political leaders say or geopolitical events. If you tell me what Putin is going to do and say next week, I'll tell you, what certain currencies will do. You can't do it. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Now, one of the reasons the FX market exists is because a lot of companies, they sell a lot of their product in different currencies and they need to hedge themselves just in case a certain currency goes down, which impacts their earnings a lot. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Ma, who wrote, hi, Chris. Hey. Do you think that the losses in tech will remain over a longer period of time? Nobody can time the markets. Nobody knows. But a lot of these bellwether tech stocks are down 70%. And I think now is certainly the time to be rolling up your sleeves and doing the research. And I provide you with all the research templates in my MBA degree program. Yeah. But there's also a hangover. So what's happening with stocks like Facebook, Google, whatever, anybody that's not Apple, is, they did extraordinarily well during COVID. And so did a lot of computer companies. People bought more PCs. And now, there's just a glut, right? No one is spending more money on this stuff because they don't need a PC, or they're going outdoors more so, which means less social media stuff. Also, what's happened with Apple, it's fascinating. Again, Apple's market cap is greater than Facebook, Google, and Amazon combined. What Apple has done is they've changed the algorithm or the way that ads appear on these things, which has demolished Facebook's business and companies like Snapchat, for example. Yeah. Yeah. And also, there's a lot more streaming alternatives. I feel it in my business, man, too. Right. So there's a lot more streaming alternatives. In addition to Netflix, you've got Paramount streaming, Disney, etc. Right. TikTok and all that stuff. Right? And that takes away market share or time share or mind share, whatever it is, from these companies. Yeah. But I think these companies will bounce back. Yeah. Now, when it comes to Facebook, Zuckerberg overextended himself when it came to investing in the metaverse. They really don't have anything to show for it. He spent $5 billion this year, or $10 billion last year, $5 billion last year, $10 billion this year on metaverse stuff, and he doesn't really have anything to show for it. And the United States Department of Defense, they signed a $22 billion contract with Facebook to purchase these Oculus products for surface warfare training purposes. And 80% of the people that work in the United States military that tried the Oculus products reported they got really sick, motion sickness. And I agree, man. I can't use these damn devices, these VR devices, for more than 30 minutes. And so the metaverse, it's going to happen. It's just going to take a lot longer than we think. Yeah. And the new Oculus device, it's $1,500, and nobody's going to buy that, right? You'll get good use out of it for a day, and then you'll put it aside and never use it again. It's big companies that are buying these products. Like, for example, Microsoft with HoloLens. They sell that for $3,500. Their VR product's called HoloLens. There's no consumer market for this stuff yet. Now, if you do a search on Apple patents, and this is how you can tell what products are coming out next without insider information. But according to Apple patents, it looks like they're coming out with a product next year, an Apple AR product. Apple AR VR patent. I'll show it to you. And let's just go to images to keep it simple. But Apple's got a product coming out. And this is their patent filings here. Okay. And it's good. It looks more like this. I've seen it here. Okay. So it's going to come out, people think, in January, and then a follow-up product will come out in 2024. And if anybody's going to nail this, I think it's going to be Apple. It'll probably get it on Gen 2. In terms of the mock-up, people think the final product will look something like this. See, right here. Now, I believe that the initial appeal for these AR products is going to be using a second monitor. So if I wear these AR products, meaning I could see through the glass, but there's also part of it is a screen, it would be great if I can look in the top left-hand corner every now and then at a second monitor, right? And I don't have to stare at it all the time so I don't get dizzy. But I think that's what's going to happen. And I think eventually Ray-Ban is going to be an incredible metaverse play. It's bizarre, but I think that it's only a matter of time until you buy glasses, so that when you're riding your bike or my e-bike, I got a Sur-on, I love it, it's my new hobby. But instead of turning around to keep looking at traffic, I have a camera in the back, and I can just look in the corner of my glasses. Yeah. Okay, next question I have got here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Roy wrote, hi, Chris. Way to shut down ALEXA. Thank you. I remember once I was at a hedge fund conference, and I was on a panel. And there's tons of hedge fund people in the audience, and they're being dicks, right? They're mean, right? Not all of them. And so what I did was I said this, right? I said, SIRI, set an alarm every day at 2 a.m. And everybody's phone was going off, and they got mad at me. Yeah, it's fun. Hi, I'm 7.5. Okay. Next up, is Mine, MINE, a good platform to trade cryptocurrencies on? I don't know. I would use the largest 2 or 3, just to be safe, like Binance, etc. And I would keep all your money in cold storage. Yeah. Next up, Ma wrote, what do you think about investments in mutual funds in the United States and India? The insurance company offers a life insurance policy with the same product. They charge 2% for the first 2 years. Absolutely not. I would not do it. I would only buy stocks from companies that their primary focus is stocks, like ETF companies. Whenever you buy stocks from insurance companies, there are hidden fees, which are ridiculous. And I also don't want anybody to ever buy mutual funds, because mutual funds are a scam. So why do they exist still? Because they've got massive unions, or massive lobbyists, And they also advertise a lot, and they have these long-term contracts with companies. It's hard to rip and replace mutual funds. The reason I say mutual funds are a scam is because the fees are insanely high. Like there might be a fee of 2, 3, or 4% that's advertised, but the fees are actually a lot higher than that. And the reason is because mutual fund managers, the way that they get compensated, it's based on their benchmark. So they're being compared to, say, for example, the S&P 500. And if they've got 3 months left in the year and they're underperforming, they chase performance. And what happens is when you chase performance, you buy and sell stuff a lot. You pay more taxes because most governments around the world, what they do is they encourage you to be a long-term investor by taxing you less if you own something for more than a year. It's called capital gains. And so mutual funds, not only are you paying, 3, 4%, whatever it is, you're paying much higher taxes as well. The best alternative to mutual funds is to buy ETFs, exchange traded funds, because the fees are basically 0.5% or less on average. And also, these ETFs outperform these mutual funds. Yeah. These mutual funds and hedge funds can't outperform ETFs anymore. And one of the reasons is because the United States government in 2002 created a law called Reg FD, Regulation Fair Disclosure, which means that no professional money manager has faster access to information than you and I do, right? Nobody has faster information. We get access to all the press releases at the same time. Now, the best ETF to invest in, I'm going to show you what I buy. The best example to show you, let's go to Yahoo Finance, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to type up VU, and I'll explain this from scratch. So VU here, this is the S&P 500 ETF. And what this means is if you buy this stock ticker VU, you get access to all 500 stocks that make up the US markets, okay? And you only pay fees of 0.03%. What that means is you pay 3 pennies every year for every $100 you put in. So $100, 3 pennies in fees, which is nothing. In terms of the holdings, you've got the 12 GICS codes, or the 12 sectors of the United States economy. It's very tech focused, although this number is coming down a bit. The biggest positions in the VU, meaning the S&P 500, are mainly tech based until you get down here. It's basically an insurance company with Berkshire, car company, and then a financial services company here. The fees are a lot lower. And the average the average return on the S&P 500, historically speaking, is 10.5%. Now, obviously, you won't make money this year, but I'd start buying this year. You can't time these things. So out of sight is out of mind. And on every paycheck you get, I would have a certain amount deducted, if you can, and put directly into your favorite ETFs, like VU, for example, because it's tax protected. Now, if all you did in your retirement savings program, if all you did was over 20 years, you put all your money, like the $20,500, it's going up 10% next year, you put that into the VU, right? The S&P 500. If that's all you did, then in 20 years, you would have over $1 million tax-free. If your spouse did it, you have, over $2 million tax-free. If you have kids and you put the educational savings account or 15 to 16 grand into that as well every year, if you have one kid, you've got close to $1 million, right? A little bit less. So all of a sudden, you've got $3 million saved up in 20 years. Yeah. But the trick is to get the money taken out of your account so you don't see it. As Warren Buffett said, you want to spend what is left after saving, and not vice versa. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, and if you guys ever get an insurance policy, or you are signing up for a credit card, whatever it is, and you don't fully understand what the hidden fees are, then I want you to call customer service. Every call is recorded for quality assurance. And I want you to explain to the customer service rep what you think the fees are. And keep explaining it until they say that's correct, or das ist richtig. Keep doing it over and over and over again, rinse, lather, repeat, until you thoroughly understand the fees. Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on to Adil, who's asking, is it a good time to buy a home, or would you advise to wait a little longer? Yeah, I'm being a little bit patient right now. Usually I'm more aggressive with real estate. I almost pulled the trigger on something on Berkeley last week, but I'm waiting for prices to come down more. In my area, prices have come down 10%, but that's because mortgage rates have more than doubled this year, So I'm being a little bit patient, but it all depends on what region you invest in. You always want to buy the crappiest house in the nicest neighborhood instead of buying the nicest house in the crappiest neighborhood. And you can always look at Zillow.com and other websites to find out what the relative value is of the place you're looking to buy. But I'm pretty patient. These real estate cycles are harsh, man. You know, they can be 10 years. You know, you can feel like $1 million buying a house, you know, between, you know, the year 2000 and all the way up to 2007. And then there was pain for many, many years after that. Yeah, just wait until there's pain. And when you buy your house or apartment, if it doesn't feel really uncomfortable for you, then you're not buying at the right time or you're not buying enough house. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Peter wrote, Mr. Chris, have you tried high doses of vitamin D? Thank you for depression. God bless you. I tried everything. You know, I biohack a lot. The only thing that works for me is exercise. That's it. And sleep as well. Yeah. And I humbly have nailed those two. I feel great. Yeah. But the worst was during COVID this summer. I got COVID real bad this past summer when I couldn't exercise. That was brutal, man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Harsh wrote, are there any hedge funds which do clean things and don't do illegal things? Yeah. Yeah, I would say a lot of hedge funds are very ethical. A lot of them are, absolutely. And there are billionaire hedge fund managers that are ethical as well. I just saw a lot of unethical stuff occur when I was in the market. It's one of the reasons I never felt comfortable working in the hedge fund industry. And quite often what you'll see is you'll see really, really rich people that own hedge funds, and they'll get caught for insider trading. And you think to yourself, why the hell would they do that, man? You know, they're billionaires. Why would they do insider trading and risk their reputation and their freedom? Well, the reason is because once a cheater, always a cheater. And they cheated all the way to the top. Yeah. And the problem with hedge funds also is, you know, people are never happy. And I was depressed working in that industry too, because you compare yourself to those that make more, which is ridiculous. And that's the cancer of Western society. It really is. Now, what's coming out next week on my YouTube channel is a 38-minute vlog called Wall Street Pro, humbly. Wall Street Pro reacts to the movie Wall Street. And I analyze that in a lot of detail. And you'll get a good understanding of what hedge funds do and the criminal side of hedge funds as well. Again, that'll hit my YouTube channel next week. Thanks. You can also go to my YouTube channel and watch Wall Street Pro reacts to billions, which I did, I think, a month or so ago. Or The Wolf of Wall Street did as well. And you can learn about finance from watching those. Yeah. And laugh at me. Yeah. Okay, next up, Nirali wrote, I'm doing well as well. Great. I'm your student and you're the best teacher ever. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And then you wrote, I didn't know you were suffering from depression and sleep problems. You can try Vipassana meditation. Vipassana. Okay, cool. Thank you. Meditation. Jack Dorsey does it too. Thanks. Yeah. I'm very open and transparent. I always have been with my students. And marketing people I worked with in the past didn't like that because they wanted me to kind of be a rock and just kind of oversell and stuff. But no, I have problems. Depression. I think one of the ways I beat depression also was doing what I'm passionate about, which is helping people. Like if you have $1 and you spend it on yourself, or you have $1 and you give it away to somebody else, you feel better when you give it away to somebody else, right? And so I kind of feel like everybody's purpose is to give to others and help others. And whatever product or service you have in the industry you work in, if you tell yourself, and if it's true, that you're helping somebody's life, it makes it easier and more fun and happier. Yeah. But when I worked on Wall Street, like I had a lot of friends that went to jail. I had friends who, and I never did anything wrong, right? I'm ethical and all this stuff. But I had friends that went to jail, and it was depressing, man. I remember I worked at a very large hedge fund here on the West Coast as well. One you've all heard of, and I can't disclose it. But it was so stressful. And I remember there was this girl, she's a Harvard graduate, she's beautiful, really nice. And we all came into work one day and she wasn't there. That's the stress of that industry. Yeah, and it's her decision. It was tragic. But, money makes you do things you don't want to do. And if you make it your God, you're going to be depressed. And, it's one of the 10 Commandments, which is the basis for modern laws or religions in many great countries. One of them is, you shouldn't have any false gods. And people worship money. And it bothers me because, people are never happy unless they have more than other people around them. And the only time you should look in your neighbor's bowl is to see if they have as much as you, not to see if you have more. It really is ridiculous. And one thing that I hate about society is how we tend to all worship these people that are worth billions. Like I respect somebody that is a good humanitarian, that gives back, that's a good family person as well. Like this whole notion of everybody, going down to Elon Musk. He's been married many, many times. He's got many children. He's cheated with Sergey Brin's wife, the co-founder of Google, and shouldn't we be judging that as well? Like instead of just worshiping people that make a lot of money, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so I do believe in ethics as well. I know it's controversial what I said, but you guys are my only customers, nobody else. Yeah, and I love you all for being here. Thank you. Okay, let me get back to your questions here. Sorry for going off track there. Okay, next up, Anna wrote, I adore your lessons. Thank you. You're one of the best teachers ever. Thank you. And I'm so grateful that you do that. God bless you, and thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You wrote, I bought your short MBA and also subscription to YouTube. Oh, thank you, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the Berlin, who wrote, Chris, with all these layoffs happening around, how much pain, do you see coming, or opportunities, real estate, stock sectors, et cetera? Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of pain here in the Bay Area. And to your point before about the 6-month lag, I think that will come to fruition here. You can't have Facebook, laying off, 13% of its workforce, Twitter, getting rid of more than half its workforce, and other big companies are cutting jobs as well. And big companies like Amazon, whatever, have hiring freezes. You can't see that without an adverse impact to real estate here in the Bay Area. And so I think we're in for a lot of pain. Yeah. And once we see that pain, meaning prices come down materially, then I'll start back up the truck and buy more real estate here. Yeah. But it's coming. Yeah. And typically what happens is the Federal Reserve, what they do is they keep raising rates until inflation subsides, and more importantly for them at least, until unemployment spikes. Like in the early 80s, they raised rates to 20% and unemployment went up to 10%. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to see unemployment spike to high single digits, and then the Federal Reserve will step back and stop raising rates. And what that means is lower real estate prices, of course, for obvious reasons. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Alex P. I always tease you saying Alex P. Keaton, who's a fellow Canadian. Alex P. wrote, Chris, do you like to eat Beyond Meat products like pork, turkey, etc.? Also, do you think that the world could go meatless in our lifetime or the generations after us? Yeah, I've tried all those. I invested, when I worked in venture capital, in a company that grows meat and grows leather. It's called Modern Meadow. You can go to their website, modernmeadow.com, if you want to. So I believe in that market longer term. I also believe that, at some point in my life, wearing leather shoes or leather products will be kind of frowned upon. Kind of like how I used to walk down Yonge Street in Toronto with my mom when I was a little boy, and she wore her fur coat, and people wanted to throw red paint at her. And I remember asking her why. And she explained it, obviously. But I think leather is going to be outlawed in a lot of countries. Yeah. And so this company, Modern Meadow, that I invested in, what they do is they grow leather or meat in a petri dish. And they can also grow, I'm not kidding, Tyrannosaurus Rex leather. Right? So if you've seen Jurassic Park, you take some DNA samples from a mosquito and you can grow it. And so they've got that product as well. It will happen. And China is looking at it closely because China is very worried about a food crisis. Because whenever somebody enters the middle class in China, the first thing they do is they buy more beef or pork products. The second thing they do is they buy an appliance. And so, I think there's going to be a food crisis in our lifetime. And I think that growing meat is going to become much more relevant in the future than it's today. The problem is it's very, very expensive to do right now. Yeah. Yeah. And every cow that is taken out of circulation does awful things for the environment. Right. So when it's terrible, but and a buddy of mine, I went to business school with Mark Kallenbacher, his family owned Seton, which is the largest leather company in the world. But he was explaining to me that at a tannery, when they dehyde whatever it is they're going to make leather out of, they put tons of chemicals on it to get rid of the hair and all that stuff, which is just terrible for the environment. As well. And so I'm glad that I opened up today's webcast with a discussion on carbon credits. You can all rewind if you want to learn more about that. But yeah. And I don't really eat much meat. Yeah. Unless my wife brings something home from In-N-Out Burger, then I can't say no. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Pulaski wrote, "Thank you, Chris. See you next week." Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to Haroun, who wrote, "Hi, Chris. Hey, I want to get into hedge funds at a starting position on Wall Street. What course should I pursue for my career path?" I would take my MBA degree program. You can binge watch it within 30 days and get your money back. My marketing team hates it when I say that. But I provide you with a lot of templates and portfolio management tools based on what I learned working in the hedge fund industry. What I would also do, and this is a generic comment applying to everybody on this webcast, before your interview, I want you to create a couple of one-page write-ups to help the company or person you're meeting with. Okay, and then you go to that meeting, you help them. Imagine that, trying to help them, and they'll help you in return. It's not a bribe, it's just a way to help them. And understand that everybody in business is motivated by three things. Number one, they want to make more money. Number two, they want to get promoted faster. Number three, they want to enjoy what they do. So help them get promoted faster if you can before those meetings. And I provide you with all 12 templates to help you do that in the first semester of my MBA degree program. Yeah. Okay. But you got to be relentless, man. You got to be like a pit bull and a pork chop when you're networking. Like, don't just set up 5 networking meetings and then give up. I want you to set up 100. That's right. You know, I'm listening to Bono's autobiography right now. Bono, lead singer, U2. It's only okay. I love his music, but it's a little bit too poetic, the biography. But what he talks about is the way that he got a recording contract is he took a ton of tapes, like hundreds of them, whatever, and he flew from Ireland to London, and he'd give them out to record producers, right, and just kind of break his way into those offices. And you only have to be right in business one time. And any great author, from J.K. Rowling to C.S. Lewis to whoever it might be, they've all been rejected 30, 40, 50 times. You just got to be right one time. So have the chutzpah and the guts to go out there, stake your claim, and not give up. Yeah. All right. Next question is, Roy wrote, how did you check that patent on Apple? Yeah, just do a search on Apple patents or whatever company name patent. And then it'll take you directly to the source, which is uspto.gov, United States Patent and Trademark Office.gov. And you can search there. Again, that's uspto.gov, United States Trademark and Patent Office. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Anna, who joined my channel, member as well. Thank you for that. Wrote, I go through a very tough period now after a major breakup with my beloved. So those lessons really take my mind off it. Meditation is the only thing that saves me. And God bless you, and I'll keep you in my prayers as I do all my students every day. Yeah. And when I wake up, what I do is I practice gratitude, which gets me into a peak mental state. I always thank God for these 10 things in this order. I say thanks God for Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, Christine, my wife, my mom, my dad, my brother Jamie, my sisters Katie and Elizabeth, and you, my students. So thank you. Yeah. And I pray for my students as well every day. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess that's my form of meditation, gratitude. If you focus on what you have, you'll always be happy. If you focus on what you don't have, you'll never be happy. And retail therapy does not work. Yeah. Unless you're buying God of War, the new video game. That works. Yeah. It's such a good game. Although he's a jerk to his son. Okay. Next up, Eric wrote, Ford and Volkswagen just dumped write-offs for their multi-billion-dollar investment in the self-driving space, saying this is a hard problem. How will companies compete in this space? Is self-driving important? Absolutely. And so the way I approach investing and predicting the future and all that stuff is I ask myself this. In 5 or 10 years, will this product be more relevant or less relevant than today? More relevant. In 5 or 10 years, will there be more self-driving cars than today? Absolutely. It's coming. It is coming. Yeah. There will be safety issues, but I think what happens is if you have self-driving cars and you turn your self-driving car on, meaning you enable it, meaning a Tesla version that actually works, then what happens is pollution goes down a lot because you're not stuck in gridlock traffic as much. You get to work faster because there are fewer accidents as well. You have more time to work in the car if you want to, if people still drive to work in the future, et cetera. And I think my grandchildren are going to say to me, they're my kids' kids, they're going to say to me, Grandpa, I can't believe you actually spent 2 hours a day driving a car when it does it all automatically now. What a waste of time. And I think they're also going to say, I can't believe you went into big cities, into an office building to work. Like, why? If Zoom was created before big cities, we wouldn't have big cities. That's why I think that farmland is the best investment from a real estate perspective. Long farmland, short city real estate. Okay. All right, next up, Alex P. wrote, do you think Beyond Meat, the ticker BYND stock, and related companies will continue to increase? I think it'll be more relevant in the future, absolutely. I don't know much about that company. When I invested in Modern Meadow when it was a private company, I invested in the management team, Andras Forax and his father. They started the company and they owned $1 billion company called Organovo beforehand. So it's all about the management team first, the idea second. You always want to invest in an A management team with a B business model instead of investing in an A business model with a B management team. Because ideas are commodities, execution is not. The jockey is always more important than the horse. Okay. Eric wrote, with the dollar so strong, which overseas ETFs are worth exploring? Yeah. I don't know, but I do know that if you're an international company, meaning your headquarters not in the United States, if you sell stuff in US dollars and then you bring that money home, it means you're making more money, right? So it all depends on the company, right? So and of course, vice versa as well. It's all company specific. But don't think just because one company has massive exposure to another country from an FX perspective that they're screwed. You always want to look at the annual report and the footnotes. It'll tell you if they have FX hedging in place. Yeah. Okay. Next question from the abdomen is what happened when Putin dies? Yeah. I don't know how deep his bench is. And I could only name one Russian politician. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. It's probably some sort of a power vacuum. I think that I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably be a good thing for Ukraine and other countries that might get invaded. Yeah. But I just don't know. Yeah. Okay. Next up, JM wrote, does your MBA program discuss how to set up an investment partnership similar to what Warren Buffett did? If not, can you recommend resources? Yeah, so Warren Buffett, what he did with Berkshire Hathaway, I think that was a cotton company he purchased many, many years ago, back in the 50s. And then he kind of rebranded that as his parent holding company. And then he invested in stocks and other asset classes. Yeah, and so I do teach you how to start a company in the third semester in what's called the Venture Capital Boot Camp. And the third semester in the MBA program, which you can find out about down here, what I do is I teach you how to start a company, how to raise money, etc. Based on my experience, having raised and managed over $1 billion and started many companies, I've been on many boards. I was part of Stanford Graduate School of Business MBA program curriculum in the venture capital classes because I helped a lot of the students with their business models. I mentored them. I was a judge at Stanford, et cetera. So all that stuff I've learned, I put it into this venture capital boot camp, again, in the third semester of the MBA degree program. And I have one student who graduated last December that recently raised $11.5 million from the same venture capital firm that invested in Baidu as well as Tesla. Yeah, Tim Draper. And I met Tim Draper a couple times before too. He used to have me select companies for him. I'd be on boards at Draper University. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Bunny wrote, hey Bunny, wrote, what are the best skills that can be used to start a scalable service-based company? Yeah. See, I think of software as a service, SaaS, meaning cloud computing, whenever you mention that. I would say sales skills, right? Because you're going to probably need access to a lot of capital in order to scale your infrastructure longer term. And so I think with all businesses in general, it's your ability to sell and network, which I teach in my MBA degree program in a lot of detail. Yeah. And as part of the Venture Capital Bootcamp in the third semester, I provide you with 25 templates on how to present to raise money. And there are 10 slides, each of those 25 presentations with 3 bullet points per slide. And I teach you how to raise money. Yeah. Okay. But networking is the most important thing, obviously. Okay, next up, Eric wrote, depression is a superpower. Learn how to utilize it better. There's many advantages to the point of view. It's interesting. And I always view crisis as an opportunity. Like what I've always done in my life is whenever something negative happens to me, or to lots, in business or wherever it is, I always ask myself, what's positive about this, right? So I can turn crisis into an opportunity. And the silver lining is that, for me personally, whenever something happens to my career, I don't tend to worry that much because I always tell myself that, God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts my mind at ease. And it's not, as Dale Carnegie said, it's not work that kills us. It's worry. And we worry way too much. The only time we're supposed to be stressed out and worried, is when we're fighting for our lives. Things are never as bad as we think. And Sir Winston Churchill once said, I met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. So Hakuna Matata, things are never as bad as we think. And when they are bad, within reason, we got to always ask ourselves, what's positive about this? Because your competition won't. When there's a crisis, your competition will freak out. Well, it's an opportunity for you. If the market is falling off a cliff, that's an opportunity. Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Ludicrous, I know, but it's true. And then Roy wrote, it's amazing that you have depression, but what you do helps bring people out of depression and gives them hope. Yeah, it's interesting, eh? I'm a work in progress. No, it's fascinating. But with my students, whenever my students get a job or raise money or whatever it is or change careers, I really feel like I'm happier than they are. Like it just drives me to do what I do. And every company I've worked at my entire life, I've humbly done well. I've always, finished towards the top of my class, whatever it is. But it's always been really uncomfortable, for my managers when I get my review. Because they always say to me, Chris, you're doing a great job, humbly and all that stuff. But can you spend a little bit less time helping people in other departments? And it's just who I am. It's just the way I'm made. Yeah. I really do believe that our purpose is we're all here to serve others and help other people. Yeah. And if you help other people as well, it's the best way to build a business. Because that's what a business is. You produce a product or a service to help somebody. And if you really want to help somebody, if you think with your heart, your business will take off. If you make it just about money, you'll never do well. It's never about the money. It's about a sense of purpose, passion, and serving other people. Yeah. Okay, and Nirali wrote, whenever I see your face, I feel compassion and kindness. Thank you. You're doing great, in my opinion. I wish the best for you. Yes, I agree with your views about money and Elon. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm getting shiny again. It happens. And I've got air conditioning on here too. Yeah. Problem is my nose is so big. It takes, I use one of these a day because it's huge. And as I told you guys before, during COVID, when I would wear a mask, I would have so many more women looking at me because it's like, hey, maybe he's good looking. And the second I take it off, they're like, oh no. That's why I'm always going to wear a mask. Yeah. I love my nose. Yeah. I'm happy with who I am. Okay. Next up, the Berlin wrote, Martin Luther King Jr. said, don't judge a person by their color, but by their content. So let me change that to don't judge a person by their billions, but by their content. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a big problem with society is to worship these people that have a lot of money. Like, why? I respect people, that give a lot back to society. Yeah. And that's why I love teachers, because they don't do it for the money. Yeah. But my courses are on sale for the next 30 days at this link right here. I'm just kidding. That was awful. Okay. Ritesh wrote, something wrong with your throat. Try this. Boil grated fresh ginger in 300 milliliters of water. Add a teaspoon of honey and drink it, and sprinkle some freshly crushed black pepper powder. Peter powder. Yeah. I have all that stuff in here, okay, but not black pepper. Yes, this is my greatest hits. I make this every Sunday. It's every antioxidant in the world is inside this thing. Thank you. Yeah. Including ground organic ginger. Yeah. Okay. And when I'm losing my voice, you guys should get this product. So it's called Throat 37. Okay. And when I'm losing my voice, if it's a webcast important presentation, I spray this in my throat once or twice. It's perfect. And Bono and all the rock stars and opera singers use this thing too. And it's called Throat 37. Yeah. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I never will be ever, because I'm always true and pure to you, my students, not a corporation. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then we have my friend from Montreal wrote, "Hi, Chris. Thanks for all you do. I'm taking your complete personal finance course, and it's quite amazing." Paul from Montreal, right? I remember that. God bless you. It's always good to see you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Montreal, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Moving on to Mahesh, who wrote, "Thank you for the MBA program, ethics content," and thank you for that emoji. Can we have recording play speed at 1.75? 2 is too fast, 1/2 is too slow. YouTube has 1.75. Teachable does not. Yeah, I'll request that. And so I talk to Teachable's management a lot, just business development stuff and just ideas, and they're amazing. Yeah, but I'll mention that to them. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And for those who are not familiar with Teachable, teachable.com is where I host my courses. Yeah. And they're wonderful. Okay. Next up, Kevin wrote, "Thank you for what you do." Thank you. I appreciate for being here. "I recently purchased your MBA in a box course." Thank you. "Do you have any experience with purchasing or evaluating small businesses?" Yeah, it's tough. You have to get a lot of lawyers involved. Now, before you buy a small business, what I want you to do is I want you to write a full business plan on that company. And you can access that in my MBA degree program in E31. That's Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 1. Then you also have to get a lawyer involved to take a look at their financials. So, for example, Binance was trying to buy FTX or whatever that company is called. And they decided not to because they got lawyers involved. And they looked at the finances, the accounting of that company, and realized that there are more issues than you think. Yeah. Okay. And then the Berlin wrote, "Chris, one person's paycheck is another person's income." Interesting. It's a zero-sum game. Yeah. Okay. All right. And next up, Eric, who's in my silver program, and the Berlin's in my platinum. Eric wrote, "Have you heard of social venues in Miami where the elite meet now that Miami is the financial capital of the world?" I have not, but I do believe that Florida is the next big growth state in the United States. And the state of California is now the 5th biggest economy in the world. It's going to pass Germany early next year. The only 3 countries being bigger after Germany are United States, bigger than California, China, and Japan. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I think Florida is going to be the biggest growth opportunity. Yeah, especially because taxes are lower and a lot of companies are relocating there. Big hedge fund I used to work at called Citadel. They relocated. Ken Griffin, who I met a number of times, nice guy. He relocated his little company from Chicago, Illinois, to Miami, to Florida. And I think that's where he's from originally. A lot of other firms are doing that as well because taxes are lower. People are just voting with their wallet now. Yeah. I can't believe taxes are as high as they are right now on the left coast. Yeah. Okay, Rubina, how are you? Rubina is from Pakistan, and she now lives in the United Kingdom. She's wonderful. She's in my MBA degree program as well, my gold program. Rubina wrote, "Hi, Chris and MBA team. I hope and pray that everyone is well. Sorry, Chris, for attending late. No, please, you don't have to attend at all. But it's always good to see you." You wrote, "I missed the last two classes due to difficult situations at home. Mom had a fail and is in the hospital. I'm very, very sorry about that. I'll keep your mother in my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I hope she feels better. Yeah." And then you wrote, "Visiting times are difficult, but hopefully I'll be able to catch up from the recordings of the classes. Thank you." No, it's good to see you again. I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers, as I always do. Yeah. I hope your mom feels better. Yeah. Okay. Eric wrote, "How do you measure a good management team?" Well, a good management team or a good CEO, she or he can sell. And you can always analyze where they've worked in the past and how successful they've been by looking at the annual report of the company, right? Annual reports will disclose where the companies work, where the management team worked in the past, and also their compensation, et cetera, all that stuff. And I don't mind paying CEOs a lot of money in terms of options if they do a good job. Yeah. You can also go to glassdoor.com and get reviews on managers, right? The internet's a wonderful thing. Disclosure is unbelievable. You can also talk to people that know the managers by connecting with somebody on LinkedIn. You're 2 degrees of separation away from everybody. Yeah. And I teach you more tricks as well in the MBA program. And you're currently a student, so look at the EMS track, Economics Management and Strategy, and you'll see a lot more tips in the program. Yeah. Okay. And then Rubina wrote, "I completely agree with you. God has it all planned for us. Why do we need to worry? People kill themselves with the stress. It's a silent killer." It really is. It really is. And things are never as bad as we think they are. And just worrying about stupid things like what other people think of us is ridiculous. The reality is they're not thinking of us. They're not judging us. They've got their own problems going on in their own minds. Yeah. But I really do believe that, God already knows what's going to happen, which should really put us at ease. And that worrying kills us. Yeah. And most worrying is bogus anyway. Yeah. We are our own biggest enemies. Yeah. Okay. All right. Alex P wrote, "Chris, not sure if you're aware, but the University of Utah is playing Stanford in football. Not sure if you're a Stanford fan, but the boys on the farm are going down." Yeah, I'm not a Stanford fan. I'm a Berkeley fan. My son goes to Berkeley, so I'm a Berkeley fan. Yeah. Okay. By the way, it's so interesting, but University of Utah, and Brigham Young, one of the reasons that they're historically have been amazing at football is because, and I have a lot of friends that went there that told me this. If you're Mormon, what you do is before you go to university, you take 2 years off after high school, and you go overseas, to preach the gospel. It's a beautiful thing. And then you come back and then start university 2 years later. So you've got 2 more years of development. Yeah. That was explained to me by Brad Whittison, my buddy, good friend of mine. I used to work with at Goldman years ago. Okay. And then Eric wrote, "Your nose is the beak of your perfection." No, thank you. No, it's big. It's why I've got, I'm wearing, you guys can't see it, but I'm wearing this thing to fix my posture. And I realize my posture has been kind of bad because it's just so heavy. My nose just brings me down, Yeah. Okay. WKCM, Ayuda, wrote, "Just enrolled in your course this week." Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. And I have to be honest with you, when I read your name, I was thinking of WKRP in Cincinnati, WKRP. I don't think there's anybody as old as me to understand that. It was an old TV show years ago. Yeah. Okay. And then Paul wrote, "Yes, I am Paul from Montreal. Good to see you. I remember. Yeah. Very cool. All right, so what I'm going to do now, if there's demand, if you guys want to, is I'm going to open up Zoom for the last couple of minutes of the call. And the way to join the Zoom call, if you want, and you can always keep typing questions here, is you go to harounmba.com/Zoom, all lowercase, harounmba.com/ Zoom, all lowercase. And then you click here to join Zoom. Okay, so you can join the call here. And what I'll do is I'll open it up now. And if you guys want, you can join and ask questions this way. Is it opening? I think it is. Yeah, it's connecting slowly. Whew, thank God. Look how messy that is, man. That is a messy, messy desk. Yeah, if you guys have questions about this equipment here and all this stuff, let me know. But the reason I have these controllers here is because what I can do is I can balance the cameras. I don't have any staff when I do this stuff. I can balance the cameras here, and so you guys have probably seen that green Ghostbuster stuff on screen. So you're wondering what the hell is that? That's to check your exposure. So what you do is you hold up a white card in front of your face. You see how they, right here, it's tough for me to show you, but you can see a line moving. That's got to be just under 80. And so what I do is I balance that with my other cameras as well. So if I switch over to another camera angle, I have to do the exact same balancing as well. Oops, that's not the angle I want. I want this one here. Yeah. And you have to balance exposure because you can't just do it by looking at it. Like right here, I'm slightly underexposed, very slightly. So what I can do to fix that exposure is I can bump up what's called the ISO a little bit. Does that work? Hold on a second here. ISO. I thought I bumped it up. Maybe I'll change the exposure here a bit. Oh no, it's this one. That's why. Yeesh. There you go. Yeah, so I increased the ISO slightly here. Okay, that's better, I think. No, I like it the other way. Okay, I'm going to go now to get your questions. If you guys think I'm too dark here, let me know and I'll fix it here. Sorry. Okay. As Salvador Dali said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys in here if anybody wants to join. And I'll also take questions directly here over YouTube Live. Yeah. So Rubina wrote, thank you for your thoughts and prayers, Chris. May God reward you in abundance. Thank you. I appreciate that. God bless you. And then you wrote, you're kind and please stop worrying about your nose. There's nothing wrong with it. No, it's fun to make fun of myself, isn't it? You know, it takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile, be yourself, no matter what they say. That's what Sting said in that song, Englishman in New York. Okay. All right. So for those of you on Zoom, if you want, you can unmute yourself and show your face and ask a question if you want to. Otherwise, I'll just keep taking questions here from YouTube. Okay. Alex P. Keaton wrote, I gotcha. Utah does not play Cal this season. So God bless the Golden Bears. Yeah, Cal has got a cult following, man. I went to a game with my son at Berkeley recently, and I can't believe it. Like in Canada, college sports is not a big deal. There, it's huge, man. It's like religion. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Fernando wrote, you're the best, Chris. No, thank you. I did 2 years after high school on a Latter-day Saints mission. Awesome as well. Invaluable experience. Not sure that it helped me mature. Just stop by to say a quick hello. See you tomorrow. Fernando, God bless you. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow in Friday's classes as well. Thank you. Yeah. And I love the LDS commercials. Always makes me happy. Yeah. On TV. Yeah. Okay. Sarah wrote, hi, Chris. I want to ask your opinion of University of the People, Power to the People, for a bachelor's degree. I don't know anything about them. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if anybody else has questions, you can type them here in the webcast, or you can ask me over Zoom. And we got Waleed, Max, and the Bang here on Zoomy. So if you want, you can unmute yourself, ask a question. Okay, I'll wait for you guys to get ready. All right, so next up, Roy wrote, LOL, I remember WKRP in Cincinnati, WKRP. Yeah. So you said, I remember that. The jokes about your nose are hilarious. Thank you. Thank you. I have a big nose and eyes. I'm like an owl. Awesome, I love it. Does it feel good to make fun of ourselves? I love it. When I take off my glasses, the ladies say, I thought he was handsome. Dude, I'm telling you, man, when I wear this mask, I could be like a 7 out of 10. Okay. So it's like this. People will see me, and they'll be like, oh my God, he's dressed well. Oh, his hair, it's okay, I guess. It's kind of a bad hair dye. It's kind of obvious, whatever. He looks like Larry from Three's Company. He might be good looking. I think actually his eyes are greenish. They look okay. And then I go like this. They're like, no, it's a scud. It's a scud. Yeah. A scud is a reference from Wayne's World. Yeah. Early 90s thing. Yeah. And for Wayne's World, it basically meant you see a girl from far away, or a guy like me. Okay. And you're like, he might be good looking. She might be good looking. And you get closer. It's like a scud missile. And then it's like disaster right before it impacts. No. Yeah. So I'm a scud. There you go. I'm a happy scud. All right. There we go. We got the bang there. And we got Michelle My Belle, which is an old Beatles song. Michelle, I think, is from Texas, coming on. The bang. If you have a question, go right ahead, please. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Yes. How are you?
No, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Besides the load shedding in South Africa.
Yeah.
Chris, I just have one question for you.
Sure.
Do you think it's normal when you reach that point in your career or profession whereby now it feels like it's boring, it's you're doing the same thing over and over again? Do you think now it's time maybe to find like maybe another passion, career, or start a business?
Yeah, a couple of reasons that might be happening. Number one, it could mean because you're burned out, and I've been there many times before, and you're not taking enough time off, right? And it doesn't matter what job you do. If you don't take time off, you will burn out. And that's why our forefathers and foremothers for thousands of years, one of the 10 rules to live by is to take at least one day off a week, whether it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't matter. So you need to take your breaks. Number two, it could be because you're just not passionate about that role anymore, which means that you should change careers. And that's why I do what I do, is to humbly help you change careers and find the reason why you were put on this earth. I think my job is, I'm a waiter, okay? A waiter with hopefully decent food. When you go to a restaurant, you can read the whole menu, but you only choose one or two items, right? And so I expose you to all types of jobs. So you can decide what you're most passionate about. And I help you to change careers as well, which you can do leveraging LinkedIn, using my networking book from my website or from my core curriculum, like my MBA program. Yeah. By the way, what movie is this from? What is the soup du jour? Oh, it's the soup of the day. Oh, that sounds great. I'll have that. Thank you. Yeah. Somebody's got to guess that. Come on. I know every line from that movie. The bang. Another reason why you might not be happy at work is because of management, right? And there's nothing worse than working for somebody that basically feels like they hired their assassin. They're so insecure to the extent that you do a good job and they don't want to promote you or let the fruits of your efforts be recognized. And if that happens to anybody, I say good, and I say it with love in my heart, because that will motivate you to start your own company or get a better job. And you look back upon that moment years from now and say, thank God it happened, because that frustration led me to break out and start my own thing. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. Yeah, but also the bang. Another way to think about it is the way to find your passion in life is to think to yourself, if I'm given a month off and I can't travel, I can't go to work, okay, and I can't go to school, what am I going to do with my time? Whatever that is, that's your passion, your purpose, your raison d'être, and you should go after it, regardless of what anybody tells you. Awesome. Cool. And if anybody else on the webcast wants to go next, just take yourself off mute and just ask away. So I think we got Anna. Anna, how are you?
Hi, Chris.
Nice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. It's nice to meet you. First time seeing you here. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from and all that good stuff too. Thanks.
Okay. I'm from Israel, originally born in Belarus.
Oh, cool.
And
all right.
now
So I got Ani chotze coffee achshav. Does that work? Is that okay? All right, good.
No, I understood.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, good.
I'll ask you later. How do you know Hebrew?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm working in marketing area. I'm like half trying to have my own business and half working a half-time job.
Mm-hmm.
as an assistant for a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 40 and I really want to change something in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to change it to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it for the questions about myself in a chat in YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
My question is on the recession that I feel and many feel are coming. And I want to ask, how do you think it's better to prepare the most efficient way when you're like in zero ground? Like now I'm really in having almost no incoming and like, okay, it's, many people are in my position. What is the best strategy to choose? This is my question.
How to survive in a recession?
I survived USSR.
Oh no,
it counts.
No, that's good. Okay, and with Perestroika Glasnost, 1989, you went to Israel. Is that how you? Okay, yeah. Awesome. No, my question was, are you asking how to survive in a recession, like economically, or
choose? Yes.
And do you want to change careers as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so you're 40, which is very young. So the average life expectancy today versus the 1950s is 26 years longer, right? So it means that you're 40 minus 20, you're 14. You're just getting started. So you can change careers at any point in your life you want to. And the best way to change careers and to find your passion is to set up many informational meetings, okay? And the way you do it, and I explain this more in my MBA program, and in my free book on my website, networking book, the way to do it is to connect with people on LinkedIn that have something in common with you. Okay, so maybe they're from the same hometown, maybe they went to the same school as you, and you send them a LinkedIn message. You keep it simple. The topic, the subject line is hi. And I know that everybody on this call and anybody watching has opened every LinkedIn email you've ever gotten, but not emails. So you send a LinkedIn email. And the contents are something like this. John, hope all is well. I'm also from Mississauga, which is where I'm from. And I also went to the Toronto French School. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee or a quick Zoom call. Thanks a lot. Your future boss. No, you put your name at the bottom. Thanks a lot, Chris. And then what you do is you set up a meeting with them. And you do it like 50, 100 times with people in different industries to find out what you're most passionate about. And when you do these meetings, I know that there's a small part of you that's thinking right now, why the hell did anybody take that meeting? I'll get to that in a second. But when you do these meetings, what I want you to do is I want you to bond the first 10 minutes. Talk about what you have in common. Maybe, I don't know, talk about that student union building that's still open or that restaurant in your hometown, whatever it is. And then once you bond with them, then they're very, very nicely going to ask you, why are we meeting? And then you tell them, well, I'm thinking about changing careers to whatever their industry, and you'd love to get some tips. And because you have something in common with them, they want to help you and all that good stuff. They will make introductions for you if you ask. Okay, and then of course you connect with them on LinkedIn after that meeting. Their network becomes your network, and they'll help you. Now, Anna, you're thinking to yourself, why the hell would somebody want to help me? Well, think about it this way. Okay, let's imagine it's 20 years in the future. Okay, you're 60. Which is still young, okay? And you're 20 years more successful than you already are today, okay? You're very, very successful and happy and everything. And somebody just like you reaches out to you, okay, who's 20 years younger. Very similar, maybe the same path. They live in the USSR and Israel, whatever. It's very similar, same school and all that stuff. And they ask you for a meeting. Very similar to you. Would you say yes to that meeting?
Sure.
There you go. Do what I said 50, 100 times, okay, on LinkedIn with people in different industries and ask them for guidance. They will help you. They will walk through walls for you. People will always help you if you ask. Giving you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Or asking you'll receive. You know what I'm getting at. It works. I promise you it works. But you gotta have the chutzpah to do it a billion times. Over and over and over again. Rinse, lather, repeat until you finally are able to change careers. You have to ask. And earlier on today's webcast, I was talking about Bono, who's my favorite singer. He sings for U2. And people don't realize what happened with him. Like he had to get a gazillion tapes. Like in the old days, we didn't have streaming. He had to get tapes of his music. And he left Ireland to go to London, and he met with every music producer he could. And they all said no, except for one eventually. So if I told you you have to fail 50 times in a row, but on the 51st attempt, you'll reach nirvana and you'll get the job of your dreams, would you do it? So you have to follow through with all these meetings. I promise you it works. Now, you've got to have a great LinkedIn profile, which I teach you in my MBA degree program. And you can also read that networking book on my homepage as well for detail. This is free to download, right? For details on how to kind of create a good LinkedIn profile and stuff. But your network is your net worth. Relationships are always more important than product knowledge. I promise you. Business is all about relationships and not product knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. And you work for a lawyer, you said, right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I have to ask you a question. Okay. You're not a lawyer, right? No, you seem too nice. There's a lot of jerks that are lawyers. And I'm just curious. Do they teach people how to be jerks in law school? Or are they jerks before they go to law school? Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, then I love you. Yeah.
I just started working there, but I
Yeah.
believe it's something that develops through this work because
Okay.
you meet a lot of not honest people along the
okay.
way.
Oh, interesting. So you become more aggressive stuff. Okay.
Yes, you have to become. Like I think when you come, you want to save the world and help people.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I do have a lot of friends that are lawyers. Yeah. But I've certainly met my fair share of lawyers that are not the easiest people to work for. Yeah. But I did learn a lot. So in the first hedge fund I worked at, my portfolio manager was a lawyer, and he taught me how to ask questions the right way. So he said, Chris, whenever you're asking questions in business, just like in a trial, don't ask leading questions. Like, I shouldn't say something like, tell me how much you love your job, because that is going to influence you to say positive things about your job. And so instead, when I talk to a CFO, instead of saying, tell me how good business is, I'll say something like this. How should we think about the future margin trends for your business? So I'm not leading him or her one way or the other, right? So I have learned valuable lessons in life from the lawyers I've worked with, but they're fun to make fun of. Yeah. Excellent. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. I promise you, Anna, if you set up all these networking meetings, it's just a matter of time till it works out. You know, like all the best authors in the world, like, Agatha Christie, C.S. Lewis, J.K. Rowling, whatever, all of them had to set up a gazillion meetings and get 30 or 40 no's until they got one yes. Same thing with Oprah Winfrey. Everybody told her she'll never make it in broadcasting. She didn't give a damn. She was like Teflon. And she knew she only has to be right in business one time. So set up those informational meetings, and I promise you, I put my reputation on the line, you will change careers. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. But remember to ask for help too. Like during these meetings, ask them, is there anybody else you can please introduce me to at the end of the meetings? You do that enough times, and I promise you it'll work. Yeah. Okay.
And about the survival in a recession?
Yeah. So I think like the best time to start a company is during a recession because you're running scared, right? So just be cheap. That's what I do with my business, because I know that once we come out of this awful recession, and it's like nuclear winter for online courses online, we're all feeling it. Once we get through it, there's great leverage to the upside. Yeah. But I also have a course called the Complete Personal Finance course that will teach you, ways to save money. And if you want, just send me an email to support@harounventures.com and I'll send it to you for free. But that's just a lot of tips on how to save money during a recession. Yeah. And always think about the future value of money as well. Like my son, Andrew, he wanted to get Beats by Dre, like $300. And I was like, screw that, man. You know how much money $300 is worth if you put it in the bank or in the markets over time? It's like 40 or 50 grand, right? And so for Christmas, what I did was he hated me, but this is my awful dad humor. I actually wrapped up in a box. It was a jar of beets, pickled beets, and on the top I wrote Dre. And so he got Beats by Dre. There were tears that Christmas morning. Yeah. And I said that was from Santa. It wasn't me though. Yeah. And whenever my kids get clothes for Christmas, that's from Santa. Like the good stuff, like I get street credit. That's from me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So knowledgeable.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Excellent. Cool. All right, and I've only got about 5 minutes left, and so Christina correctly answered. The soup du jour reference was from Dumb and Dumber, the soup of the day scene. LOL. Thank you. I appreciate that. Excellent. Okay. Sarah wrote, "Do you offer or plan to offer a bachelor degree?" I get that a lot. No. You can take my MBA degree program. It's and you don't need to even have a high school degree to take it. Yeah. JM said, "For some reason, I can't get your courses to play on Firefox. Try Chrome if that doesn't work for you." Yeah. Okay. Okay. And Kamar wrote, $300 is worth that in 30 or 40 years. Yeah. Just run the numbers in Excel and you'll see. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Chris. Can I ask a question?
Max, how are you? Where are you from, man? First time I've seen you. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, actually, I'm from the Philippines, and it's about 2 a.m. Already here. And because actually, I have just enrolled on your course, the Complete Financial Analyst Training and Investing course. So
thank you.
Because I'm a forex trader, quite new in trading forex, and actually, I've been trading the whole evening here, and if you know, the U.S. Just released the CPI inflation.
Yeah, 7%. Yeah, lower than expected.
Yeah, and it so happened that it's against my position. So
sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did not quite lose because I do the hedging thing. Then I was really interested on your course because of. I believe that it could help me out because actually I just enrolled just this week and I'm still on the section 1. Okay. So I found out that you have like global economy, like currencies and monetary policy and interest rate. Hopefully it will help me a lot on this. And it would be nice, Chris, if you really make a course about the forex trading that really focused on forex trading, like. Yeah. If you can do that, you know.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, in my MBA degree program, there's 5 components. One of the components is called EMS, which is Economics Management Strategy. And I talk about interest rates and foreign currencies in a lot more detail as well. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So you mean I enrolled the wrong course?
No.
On the MBA?
Yeah, no, so if you go to, I'll show you, and there's a no risk thing, it's 30-day money back guarantee, but if you go here to learn.harounventures.com, you'll see here, these are all my courses. Like the Silver MBA is where I talk about it a lot. And I've got subscription programs and master or certificates in finance and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah.
And which one you recommend that would really help me a lot in my career as of this moment? Like in forex trading?
Yeah, I would say I would take the entire MBA program because
the MBA program.
Yeah, because like I have 2 certificate programs. One is finance, the other one's economics management strategy. But in the MBA degree program, I talk a lot more about foreign exchange. Now I do talk about.
You mean the foreign exchange thing is more comprehensive?
Yeah,
in the MBA course
in more details. Yeah, but I don't teach you how to day trade. But I will teach you about technical analysis.
But at least on the analysis side, like on the fundamental side, that would help me a lot, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And in my Silver MBA program, what I do is every single Thursday from 10, meaning in 1 minute, from 10 to 11 my time, Pacific time, I do a Zoom just with my Silver MBA students.
I see.
Yeah. And you can always, if you go to the first lecture, for anybody watching, first lecture of that curriculum, you'll see it there. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I will check. Awesome. Chris.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. So I've got to wrap up this call. For those of you that are in my Silver MBA program, just stay on the Zoom. Max, you stay on as well if you want. I'll be back in a couple of minutes after I wrap this up. I'll answer more questions for you. So I'm going to go back to the webcast here just to wrap things up. Hold on a second here. Here I am. Hey, guys. So I want to thank you all for your time. This has been a lot of fun. Please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to check out my courses, you can go to this link right here. I have a 30-day money-back guarantee on all my courses and programs. God bless you all. For those of you that have sick relatives that you've mentioned on the call today, Rabina and others, or others that are feeling under the weather, my thoughts and prayers will always be with you. I love you all. And as I do with all of my calls, I end it with a life-changing video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. It's a short life-changing video about Steve Jobs. God bless you guys. I'll see you next week and every single week. Appreciate it.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.